in life, every individual wants to create wealth and make money. The word investor and investment is all about getting returns on the money that we can perhaps roll in the best and optimal way. So as the world was changing around us, and fortunately I've been involved in technology for around 3 decades, running technology companies, taking some startups to scale. I realized that age is catching up, and if I need to stay relevant, I need to perhaps bet on founders or people who are doing innovations who are perhaps half my age, and that's where the world of startups started playing on my head. So I initially became an angel, and I realized that being an angel is like being like a lone ranger, and you don't get the visibility that you need to make the right investments. And I shifted slowly from being an angel to become a venture capitalist and be a part of a larger platform. And we felt that the world is our oyster, and we typically wanted to look around for great businesses around the globe, and we were lucky in a way that we found some great companies to invest in, and we continue to do that. So we are on a path of continuous learning, and as an investor, I'm putting a skin in the game to stay relevant. To be an effective investor, I really don't have a straight answer for that. Sometimes to be an effective investor, on hindsight, you got to be lucky. But if you really want to perhaps look beyond the surroundings that you're in and not follow the herd, because sometimes we get caught up in a herd mentality. Just because everybody else is following a path, you end up following the same thing. Your mind has to be a little contrarian, and you perhaps have to cross or go beyond your comfort zone and look for ideas and assets which has the possibility to perhaps solve a huge problem which is facing humanity, or perhaps create delight for millennials. And that's where the real scaling up can happen. And when scale up happens, your money also starts rolling, and perhaps you're rolling soft snow on a long hill, and with the hope that it will turn into a snowball. And that's where you should look around for opportunities beyond your comfort zone, and perhaps which are a little futuristic in nature. Tech plays a very, very important role in today's world. Anything that is an idea which is defensible, and an idea which can literally scale a good business model, that can only be powered by tech. So tech is the new age investment model that I would invest investors to look at. That's the new asset class. And perhaps the last word on this is the best and latest asset class that one can look at is data. And if one can look at ideas which are or individuals or companies which own a lot of data, you should perhaps bet on that, because that's where perhaps in future even governments and sovereigns can start taxing, which they haven't started yet, but perhaps they might start taxing data one of these days. That's the newest asset class. There are 2 ways of looking at it. It depends on the stage of the company that we are looking at. If it is a early stage company, as we say, which is at a seed stage, for instance. I mean, I don't want to get into those nomenclature of seed A and B, but if it is a very early stage company, we perhaps look only at the people, if I may say, the jockey on the horse or the man behind the machine. So that's very important for us, because it's 5% which is idea, 95% execution. And the other thing that we look at is in a founding team, if we have complementary skill sets, there should be, as we say, the optimist, the pessimist, and the realist. Ideally, a combination of 3 co-founders and who complement each other. So that's the most important criteria. Besides that, we look at what kind of tech they are using, and how patentable, how defensible the tech is, so that the IP can be protected before somebody else can become a Me Too and catch on with them. And last but not the least is if there are some other bigger stalwart investors who are perhaps eyeing them and joining the round, I'll be happy to join that round, because they perhaps have a much bigger ability to do due diligence and take better bets than us. So these are the simple tenets of what we look at. And if it is a late stage investment, those are literally no-brainers, because we are perhaps looking at limited edition rare gems which have already proven themselves. There the tougher challenge is whether we can join their party, whether they are willing to take our money. So even if I would be happy even if we are a rounding error in a billion-dollar behemoth, then rather be a 50% owner of a small teeny weeny company which has got no future to scale up. So that's the philosophy which we follow. Every country that I visit, and I fortunately have been able to crisscross the globe and visit many countries, I see an air of innovation, and I see the young generation of people who are trying to be creative and do something to perhaps create wealth and create a better planet for our next generation to live in. New Zealand is no exception. I'm not very exposed to it. This is my second trip to New Zealand after a gap of almost about 8 years, and I came here for a very different purpose the last time I came here. This time when I'm here, I realize that there's a lot of buzz happening, a lot of excitement happening amongst angel investing. And I'm in an angel investor conference, and I see that there's a lot of money floating around. There were some numbers thrown around inside. But what I see as a gap is beyond angel investing, is there somebody who can handhold those startups and take them to the next orbit? That is where I see a gap. And that is where I would encourage the investor community here to create more cross-border links. And by doing so, and when I say cross-border links, perhaps put a skin in the game in cross-border platforms. And then by doing so, you're automatically creating a collaboration with a skin in the game by which you can actually take the startups from here and take them to markets where it matters the most. Say, perhaps in a place like Asia where half of humanity lives, and there's so much of pent-up demand, young, very favorable demographics, and anything that you throw with tech there has a consumption. So to go there, you need to partner and collaborate with funds, people, or the ecosystem, which can help you to sort of, and it's like a journey. From one stage to the other, there must be continuity and smooth continuity. And that is the collaboration process which one needs to build up. And perhaps the investors here should try and look beyond their own backyard and explore more overseas.